Hi everyone, it's me again, and if you watched my last video you're probably thinking, right, so Ben's picked a day where he's wearing the same shirt, or alternatively, as is the case, I'm actually doing 2 in one night. It's almost like the old days of a Dram A Day where I did 2 or sometimes 3 or 4 when I was on holiday on the same night. The kids are in bed and the wife has gone out for a meal with her friends, so I thought, why not crack on with a couple of reviews, and then at least I can put 2 out within a month, which would be a change. So the next one is actually not donated by anybody because I bought it myself. It is, and it weighs down this beast here, Cody Road Bourbon whiskey. I actually bought this when I was on holiday in Orlando last year, so this is now June of 2018, and I bought this in, what are we looking at, August 2017. So I've had it for that long, and you'll notice that I still haven't got around to opening it yet. That's the way that I am with whiskies. I love whiskey. I work in the whiskey trade. I don't actually drink that much of it because I don't really need to. I enjoy what I drink. I don't need to drink a lot. I'm not drinking to get drunk, and to be honest, it's really nice trying new things. So why crack open a bottle and then neck the whole thing in one go when I could either send samples to people and sample swap, which is always good fun and I get to try new stuff, or I can just work my way through some other bits and pieces, and then if I really like it, I'll come back to it when I'm in the mood to it. So Cody Road is from a relatively new company that was set up in 2010 called the Mississippi River Distilling Company, and if you go to their website it's actually mrdistilling.com, and every time I look at that it looks like Mr. Distilling. So the distillery itself is actually in a place called LeClaire in Iowa, and the business was founded by 2 brothers, these 2 guys, Ryan and Garrett, what are their surnames because I've completely forgotten, Burchett, Ryan and Garrett Burchett. Now Ryan was actually a TV weatherman, and Garrett worked in like transportation planning and logistics and things like that. But the 2 of them ended up doing a lot of courses, essentially. So they hadn't come from distilling, but it was clearly something that they were passionate about, they wanted to get into. So they did essentially courses in distilling in a couple of places in Canada and Germany and in America, and then set up their own business. Now the still that they have at the distillery is actually from Germany. It was made specifically for them, and they are really pushing the craft distilling. Even on their website, if you actually look at the blurb about Cody Road, it talks about the fact that 90% of American whiskey is only made in 8 distilleries, and you know, we want everything to be as it should be, authentic, grain to glass, the whole thing. So this is very much kind of, it's small scale, it's kind of hipsterish, but it's trying to do everything properly. And to be honest, this doesn't feel quirky or hipster or, you know, craft distilling dude with goatee beards and toy jackets, and you know, we play music on a record player, gramophone, that sort of thing. It really does feel like they're quite honest, and if you go to the distillery, apparently they are very keen on people kind of being involved and making your own whiskey and making bespoke whiskey, and they've encouraged other people to set up other distilleries. Apparently the Fox River Distillery, which I've not had yet and come across, but the people who set that up were inspired by the Birches with Mississippi River to go and do it themselves. So it's on the banks of Mississippi River, and they do some other clear spirits. So they do a vodka, a gin, and an artisan spirit, which to be fair sounds a little bit hipster. Those have river in the name, so I think it's River Pilot, River Major, that sort of thing. They're called rivers. But the whiskies that they do, so there is a bourbon, there is also a rye as well, is called Cody Road, and this is actually named after this guy, Buffalo Bill Cody, who was apparently from LeClaire in Iowa. So he's a bit of a local hero, and hence they're naming their bourbon after him. And you'll hopefully see on the label, you know, it is kind of going on about this kind of frontier Buffalo Bill type. It talks about him on the back, and the fact that you know, this whiskey is made in his honour. So it was first launched in 2011, and they are a bit like when I did Spirit of Yorkshire previously. They're very, very open about what they're doing, what they're making, where it comes from. So the breakdown of this: bourbon, 70% corn, which is from LeClaire, local fields, 20% wheat, which is from Reynolds in Illinois, and then 10% of barley, which is from Davenport, which is also in Iowa. And it's matured for 2 years in charred Midwestern white oak casks. So it's only a 2-year-old. It's quite young. I've read a little bit about this in terms of sort of a couple of reviews while I was trying to find some details of it, and they say it's quite light, it's quite easy drinking. I'm doing this because I'm having to cut this off. Annoyingly, it doesn't have any kind of perforation on it for me to be able to get it off quite easily. But as you can see, you know, I haven't tried this yet. I have no idea what this is going to be like, but I'm quite looking forward to it. Now, this bottle I really like. I bought this in a liquor store in Orlando, and it was the bottle that sold it to me. So quite thin, very wide, weighs a freaking ton. $39.99 I paid for this in dollars, and I think it's supposed to be about 35 quid. I was in Orlando, it's a tourist trap. There was probably a premium on it. So I think you can probably find it for about $35. However, you're not going to find this for $35, maybe, because this, I think from about the turn of the year, because the Whiskey Wash website did a review of Cody Road Bourbon in February of 2018, and the bottle looked like this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not too keen on this new bottle. I'm not a big fan of it, okay? It's a bit, I get why they've done it, because it fits on a shelf better. And if you put it with the other bottles in the range, it all fits in as a brand. However, this looks so much better. This looks cooler. This is what made me pick the bottle up. If it looked like the new version, I probably wouldn't have gone for it, to be honest. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. So, people from Cody Road, if you're watching, if you want to export to the UK, because I believe you do export to, I think, Australia and New Zealand, and possibly Germany as well, because they've got ties with that. But if you want to export to the UK, I do work for a company that distribute whiskies. And B, if you're going to do that, can you please use that bottle? Because I think this looks so much better. Yes, I know it's impractical, but who cares about impractical? So let's see how we go. Sorry, I can't even open it. That's a good start, isn't it? Hang on. Jesus, there we go. This is where I chuck it all over me. Now, it is very impractical because this is actually quite awkward to pour. But there we go. Let's get a measure of this in. So, only a little bit of rye. No rye at all. What am I talking about? Only a little bit of barley and wheat and no rye. Now, I have it in my head that I don't like rye whiskies, and yet, when I've had blind tastings or when I've had bourbons where I've not known what the mash bill is, and I've gone, oh, I don't think this is rye because it's got this flavour and everything like that, it turns out it's normally quite rye heavy. So I'll be very interested to see what this is like. And I think this is termed as a wheated bourbon because there is no rye. There is corn, but to be bourbon you have to be at least 51% corn, but there is wheat in it as the next biggest part with a little bit of barley. So it's a very light colour. It's sort of, I've got that cloth. I didn't do that actually on my previous one. Let me get the cloth. Come here. Let me hold it up. So on there, very much a kind of, it's not even amber, it's quite a light amber. Quite a light colour. I can't get the lid back on now. Oh, I'm just going to have to drink it all. That's a shame. Don't do that because that's stupid. Don't use that as an excuse to get damaged. Right, there we go. The lid is back on. It does look quite light. And to be honest, as I'm swirling it around in the glass, and it is, it's a 75ml bottle, 45%. The thing is, as I'm swirling it around the glass, it looks light in terms of weight. It looks slightly watery, and I don't know if that's the colour or just the fact that as I'm swirling it around, it seems to swirl around a bit too quickly. Probably just me. But now, on the nose, there is definite youth in there. There's a touch of oak, very sweet vanilla oak. There's a sweet dark fruit, so it's kind of like, it's kind of raisiny, but there's a youthful edge to it as well, which is close to being sharp but not too bad. It's definitely young. It's definitely, you can tell straight away this is a young bourbon. And it might be a little bit too young for some. That sultanery element's kicking in now as well. That sweetness is there, but there's a spiciness to it as well. That youthfulness is bringing through a kind of nutmeg and cinnamon. There's a definite It's like the skin on the top of a rice pudding. My wife loves rice pudding, but rice pudding that's essentially rice in milk, and then it forms the skin on the top, and what she does is she puts loads of cinnamon and nutmeg on the top of that, and it reminds me a lot of that nutmeg on the skin of a proper rice pudding. None of your ambrosia pop nonsense. Yeah, there's definite spiciness, and I think that's because of the youthfulness of the whiskey itself, because it's so young. I think if this was a 5-year-old, that soft spice would probably disappear a bit. Ooh, zingy. Ooh, blimey. Again, you can tell it's young. You can tell it's definitely, you know, this is a 2-year-old bourbon. This is a young whiskey, but it's not biting. It's not kicking you. And it doesn't feel tight. There is a sprightliness to it. There is a kind of citrusy edge to it. There's a soft lemon curd. That nutmeg and cinnamon feel that's on the nose is there, but it's tempered down a little bit. So it's almost like you have a lemon flavoured rice pudding, and the skin, you've kind of eaten the skin, but a little bit of the spice has gone into it. There's a definite sweet lemon. It's not sherbety either. It's not zingy lemon sherbet like the Spirit of Yorkshire was in my previous video. This is softer. This is a fresh lemon curd, or a not key lime pie, but almost like key lemon pie. Do they do that? I don't think they do. But it's a lemon pie. It's a fresh lemon, but it's not quite the lemon zest. Some hazelnuts in there as well. There's a definite nuttiness coming through. Kind of peanut brittle. It's a very desserty whiskey, and it's weird. So there's this kind of peanutty hazelnut, but it's a sweet hazelnut. I'm not a fan of hazelnuts because they tend to be too drying. This is kind of sweeter, so it's almost like there is a dessert where it's hazelnuts that are kind of mashed down into a type of paste, and I can't think of what it is, but it's kind of like that. It's very sweet nuts, but there is also this sharp, not sharp, but this kind of like zingy lemon, but it's a sweet lemon as well. It's very, very pleasant indeed. Now, it doesn't have a massive amount of body to it. There's not much depth, and in all honesty, the finish tails off a bit quick. A bit too quick than I prefer. However, if you're wanting a decent bourbon, and to be honest, if you could find this for $35, I actually think that's a bit of a bargain, because that has bags of character to it for a very decent price. And I think it would probably work quite well in cocktails, because there is that young, youthful kick that's going to cut through something else. It might not be deep enough for something like an old-fashioned, but I think with a mixer, if you like it in a mixer, or if you want it in a cocktail, I think it would work quite well. It looks the part, particularly with that bottle. There is no, it's a decent bourbon, and it's got character to it. This youthfulness actually gives it something. There are people, I think, that would try it and go, nah, there's not enough to it, and I would get that, but to be honest, there is enough character of the depth that's there. Although it's not massively deep, what is there is actually interesting. It's not unusual, but just it's well made, it's well crafted, and it is a summer bourbon. You know, this would work, I think, actually on a summer's day. If you're out in the back garden and you wanted a whiskey, I would be very tempted to put that in the fridge and pour it out the fridge. I wouldn't put ice with it. I think ice would kill it, but I would put the bottle in the fridge, provided you could fit that in the fridge. Maybe get the new bottle, maybe that's what it's for. I wouldn't put it in the freezer, but I'd pour that from the fridge and have it as a cooling drink on a summer's evening, because there is this, I'm almost getting honeysuckle in there as well. There's a slightly sweet floral edge to it, which I've not come across on any other bourbon. This kind of weird honeysuckle, sweet hazelnut, peanut brittle, lemon. It's a very, very distinctive bourbon, and I can't recall one as summery and as characterful as that. It's funny, like my instant reaction was, oh, there's not a lot to it. But all of a sudden it grows and it grows and it grows. And there is character in there. You need to give it not a minute, 30 seconds, something like that. But I really like it. It's really grown on me, literally in 5 minutes. It's a very, very pleasant, very easy drinking bourbon that is quite distinct to most other bourbons I've had. I think some people won't like it because they'll want big, full-on, fruity or heavy or spicy bourbons and rye and everything like that. It's not that. This is the other end of the scale, and there are people that are going to turn their nose up at it. But to be honest, I actually think that deserves to be very, very big as a brand, as a big seller, because it's got that sweet, light touch that introduces people into the world of whiskey. But there is enough character on that where it's not like something like Monkey Shoulder, where it's light, it's easy drinking, it's got sweetness to it, but there is nothing to it. That has character. That is easy drinking, but it's got character to it that you can pick out. There is complexity to that other similar whiskies of a style that is light and easy drinking just don't have, because they're light and easy drinking because there's nothing there. Whereas this is light and easy drinking with bags of character. Very, very good indeed. I really like that. At $35, I don't feel ripped off at $40. I think that's a fantastic price for it. I wish they'd kept that bottle, but as long as they've not changed the whiskey inside it, you're on to a winner. I really do. So please bring it to the UK. Come and speak to me and I'll have a chat with my buyers and see if we can get it in, because I want to see that on the shelves in the UK. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Right, I shall see you at the next one. Cheers.